I'm not going to talk any numbers. I'm not going to talk any, say, investment ideas in that case. I'm talking about you, how to manage money, especially in terms of financial planning. If you see this slide, what comes to your mind? Health versus wealth. All of you sitting in this room are a lot of health conscious in that case in last 4 to 5 years. But are you aware about the wealth part? You have a financial doctor in place. All of you in this room might be having, say, family doctor who takes care of your health. But do you have a financial doctor? Answer is no. And that's where the financial planning or financial advisor comes into the picture. Next slide, please. Let us concentrate on this slide. The first and foremost aspect of, say, financial planning is the documentation part. People sitting in this room, and my experience says that in India, we are very much lack as far as on the document part is concerned. We don't have documents collated at one place. Hamara PAN card, all our insurance documents or investment documents are at multiple places. And if something happens to us, is the family aware about the documents? Answer is no. Let's take a simple example of medical insurance. You have taken medical insurance policy and it's lying somewhere as a secret superstar in your cupboard. And your family members are not aware about it. And for God's sake, you are hospitalized and not in your consciousness. What you will do? So generally what happens that family आसपास से कहीं जुगाड़ करके पैसा इकट्ठा करके हॉस्पिटल में देगा. In that expectation, that person who is unconscious would become conscious and let us know that where their policy is. And this is a practical case, my friends. So that's the reason the first part, documentation, is very important. Get all your required documents at one place. The first and basic pillar of your money management. Second is understanding or creating your financial goals. Why it is important to have financial goals? If I ask you that what are your financial goals, you might have a very basic understanding that I have my child education, I have my vacation goal, I want to buy a new house, I have a retirement planning. These are all top of the mind awareness which you have. But is your life only about these goals, or there are a lot of things in your life? Yes, a lot of things. When it comes to financial goals, do you, along with your spouse, sit and at least have a level of discussion that what our life would be, how we want to live our life? If you are in your job or employment or a business, you have target on yearly basis. That I want to grow my revenue by 2 times, 3 times, 5 times in next 4 years. But you as a family, have you sat together and understand that how we want to live our life in next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line? Answer is no. It is always there in your mind, but it is never registered in black and white paper. So when it is not registered, you don't take actions on it. You never take actions on it. So the first important thing after documentation would be to have a written down financial goals, which should be basically discussed with your spouse or your family members. Write it down, give an amount to it, and adjust it with inflation and give it the time period. So that you know that after 15 days, 1 month, whenever you open that book, you know that I need to take action on this. This is what I need to achieve for my family. So that is important. Now, when we come to a financial planning side, the first most important thing that you need to do is creating a contingency plan. It is nothing but a reserve or emergency fund which you need to create for your family members or for yourself. What is basically contingency fund? As a main earning member of the family, you know that how much your monthly expenses are. 40,000, 50,000, 1 lakh rupees per month is your expenditure to run a family. But there are sometimes certain expenses which crop up in your life without any knock. और उस टाइम पे ऐसा होता है that you don't think of your long-term investments के कहाँ पे पड़ा हुआ है. You withdraw without any understanding to fulfill that emergency. That मैंने ये म्यूचुअल फंड में इन्वेस्टमेंट किया है, मैंने ये शेयर्स लिए हैं. You withdraw that and fulfill that emergency because वो आपके सर पे लटकती तलवार है. Our mind is very shocked thinking in that case. We don't think long term when we take decisions, and that's where the contingency fund comes into picture. So if you have this reserve fund in place, your long-term investments are secured for your long-term financial goals, and that are not disturbed when such emergencies come in your life. It can be anything. It can be medical emergency, it can be social emergency. There is some requirement of funds in your relatives and you can't say no. You have to give it. So these are some emergencies which occur in your life. But if you don't have contingency fund, it may end up bleeding your long-term portfolio. Now, how much to create this contingency fund is a question. Generally, it should be like 6 months to 12 months of your living expenses, which should be either kept in your flexi FD or it should be lying in your liquid funds, which is at least growing at certain rate instead of lying ideally. So that is the first part. Second is risk planning, or I would say insurance planning. There are 3 types of risk which a family has. First is your health. Second is your life, and third is your asset. These are the 3 risks which a family has. I always give priority to health first because the probability that you go to hospital is higher as compared to you are going to die tomorrow. And in India, we have generally seen that there is a lot of ignorance about the medical insurance also. We feel that we have taken a family floater of 3 lakh to 4 lakhs and our job is done. The answer is no. If you go through the data, historical data, the medical inflation in India is close to in the range of 9% to 11%. So you should review your medical insurance policies on a regular basis, every 3 to 5 years, whether you are in track with your medical expenditure or not. Second is life, the most misconceptualized product in India. We say that we invest in life insurance. It is completely wrong English. We buy life insurance. It is expenses which you spend for your family members if something happens to you. You are a capital asset to the family because you are getting income on monthly basis. If that capital asset gets disturbed or if that capital asset is no more, the family's standard of living or their social responsibilities or your responsibility should not get disturbed. And for that reason, you are buying insurance. So only term insurance, which is the best form of insurance that you should buy. All form of insurance is like khichdi. It's a combination of investment and insurance, which you should avoid exactly. Third is your asset. My experience of last 14 years says that close to 60 to 70% of the net worth of the family, asset minus liability equal to net worth. 60 to 70% of the net worth of the family belongs to the real estate property. Either it may be residential or commercial, but still we don't insure it. We have seen in 2001 what happens to Ahmedabad with earthquake. So if that disturbed your asset, 60% of your asset is going down the drain in only one day due to any natural calamities. Expenses for the same is hardly anything. You get a premium of 10-15,000 rupees for 10 years. But it is important to insure it. The next part, so once you have taken these ground realities, you have your pillars very strong, then you can build a wealth, then we can talk of investment planning. Once you have taken care of all these four requirements. Now, what is investments? When we talk about investment, they should have four factors taken into consideration. First is your purpose or goal. Without purpose, your investments would not have any emotions attached to it. It is just like a financial paper with you. It's like a paper which you have parked for highest returns. Is it any purpose with investment? Either you are doing investments in real estate, mutual fund, SIPs, shares. It should be allocated for some goal or purpose, so that you know that what is the purpose of that particular investment. Second is your time period. Why time period is required to identify? Because it gives you what asset to select. There are various asset classes to invest, from FD to debt funds to mutual funds to shares to real estate to metals to AIF to PMS, etc. But which asset class is better for me? Which asset class matches my time period of that goal? That needs to be identified. Because what people do mistake is that they park in equity asset class for 1 year time horizon and they put money in FD for 10-year horizon. Both are suicidal. So you need to know what time period is. Third is optimum return expectation from your investments. What return you should assume based on the nature of that asset class. It should not like you assume 20%, 30% return on year-on-year basis. Understand one thing. When you invest, there is always a risk associated with it. And the fourth factor which is important is the risk, which generally an investor completely neglected. Risk is nothing but what is the downside possibility of that investment which I have done. If you talk about equity, in a 1 year, 10 to 15% downside in your portfolio is very common. 3 to 5 years, 20% in 1 year is common. And in 10 years time period, a 50% down in a market is common. Understand that nature of the market and then invest. You understand the risk. Your expectation is matched. If you want to take higher risk, returns would follow. If you don't want to take risk, returns would be accordingly. Take that very clearly. So when you see these four factors, considering these four factors, then you can say that you have done investment. Otherwise, everything is speculation. Because you don't know the outcome. You have not cleared the basic features of doing the investments. And of course, then your emotions would go up and down when markets go up and down. And under the panic, you will never create the wealth which is actually market is giving in a period of 7 years to 10 years. We know everything about markets. We know all the data. The idea is to manage your mind and take action accordingly. And that's where investments comes into picture. Next is your retirement planning. It is kept separately because in India, retirement is most important factor per se. Unlike US and other Western countries, we don't have any social security benefit which is available to us. Whatever benefit is available in terms of provident fund or gratuity or pension, that would not be sufficient enough to take care of expenses after 20-25 years. So even there will be a shortfall over there. One data shows that every 20 years, 1 zero is added to your monthly expenses. Which means that before 20 years, your life or your family was able to run at 5,000 rupees per month. Today it is not possible with 50,000. After 20 years, even 3 lakh to 4 lakh rupees per month would be very common. अगर आज से 20 साल पहले किसी को बोला होता कि घर का खर्चा 50,000 होता तो शायद आप पे हंसता. आज वो मुमकिन हो रहा है। अगर आज मैं आपको बोलूं कि आज से 20 साल के बाद आपको महीने का खर्चा 3 से 4 लाख रुपए लगेगा, तो शायद आप आज मुश्किल हंसेंगे। The income levels has gone up, but same the expenditure has also gone up. The idea is to create a retirement corpus in such a way that it is helping you to taking care of your expenses after that period where your productivity level is not the way you are as of today. And the definition of retirement is very important, friends. Retirement is not like that the day today you are 100% active and from next day you are 100% inactive. You are going to be active till your last breath. You are going to work till your last breath. But in terms of financially, you have that money with you, which is taking care of your livelihood expenses. You are not dependent. आज अगर मुझे 1 महीने की छुट्टी लेनी हो तो possible नहीं होगा, because I don't have that corpus with me. But during retirement, I would have that corpus which will help me to live the life on my terms and conditions. That's what retirement is. And that's where the importance of retirement planning is most important. Second is, in India, the life expectation has increased dramatically. And because of the innovation in medical science we have seen in the last 15-20 years. When India got independence in 1947, the average life expectancy was in range of 32 years to 39 years. As of today, we are sitting in metros, we have life expectancy of 70 to 74 years. And in years to come, in 15-20 years, you will see that life expectancy, because of innovation in medical science, it may go to 85 to 90 years. And the retirement age is decreasing. People want to retire at the age of 65 for 25 years. Today, when we interact with the work line, they say they want to retire at the age of 50, 55. The working span is decreasing. And the after retirement phase is increasing. So it is very important to plan your retirement in that case. The next phase is your estate planning. Once you have created your all other aspects of financial planning, you need to pass on this assets or wealth to the next generation very peacefully. And that's where the role of estate planning comes. Either self-created asset or inherited asset through a procedure called will, or in certain cases power of attorney, or in some cases creating a private family trust. Some people feel that writing of will is a job when we can do after our age 55, 60. I at the age of 34 have my own will. Why can't you have? When will is required basically. First, when you have asset in place, either it may be a financial asset or say tangible assets. Second, when you have a dependent in place, you have a spouse or a children. And third, when you have a life insurance policies. Why? Because when you are not there, the biggest amount which a family would receive would be life insurance policy. And it is very important to note it down somewhere how this life insurance policy maturity process or that claim process needs to be used for your family members. It can be 50 lakh, 1 crore, 1.5 crore. Because generally I have observed that when a person is no more, there are a lot of yanchan which come in your family members and start giving advice. And that family is already in a social shock. And that money gets to utilize in such a way that the main purpose of that policy is completely taken for us. And that's where the will is important. You can actually mention, and writing a will is not a very complex process. You can write with an help of an advisor or a lawyer, or you can write it of your own also. Okay? And all these factors matched with a proper tracking, monitoring, and a proper asset allocation with a tax-related advice would help you to achieve a more financial independent life as compared to running around and finding the best investment which is for you. The idea is to manage your emotions, and we stayed focused on your financial goals, and investment is as simple as possible and very boring. So stick to that and be financially independent. Thank you very much.
Before we take the questions, today is Women's Day.
Yeah.
So for the
Happy Women's Day to each and everybody.
so their benefits, you touched upon couples never really like working together when it comes to their finances. Today, actually, we did a story where we found out that women are reluctant to take care of their finances, all of themselves. So, for the benefit of our women audience, what is your
So we manage close to around 400 families. So we have come across that in India is a more of a male-dominated society where all the decisions regarding money has been taken care by the say husband or a main earning member of the family. When you do a money management or a financial planning, the role of women is very important because she is the person who understands a lot of crux of the family affairs or where the expenses are happening. And when you manage a family or when you are going to say do a financial planning, it is important that both husband and wife are involved in the process to understand that how the life needs to be met. All the people or husbands sitting over here, I would request that involve the wife in the process of money management. They are good money managers. They have good emotions as compared to men. They can be more stable as compared to handling the panics as compared to men. Involve them in the process. She can be more of your pillars or managing your emotions more better, or they can handle you more better when it comes to a panic situation. So she should be involved in the process of money management and she should be aware of what you have done basically for the family. She will get a level of security also that yes, my husband has done a lot of things for me or for the family as far as the future requirements are concerned. So these are basic things which when you talk about financial planning, this should be taken care of on a when you start doing it basically.
We'll take a few questions. Okay, the lady first, since it's a women's day.
You said that term insurance is one of the best things to buy. Now a hypothetical question, that if the breadwinner of the family has enough term cover and the sections 80C is taken care of, should he or she be surrendering the regulation insurance policies like the money back and other stuff? And instead, and then from the money saved, could he or she invest in SIPs, through SIPs?
Okay, so there are two questions basically. The first is that family has a lot of endowment or money back policies or unit policies which are taken, but that is not sufficient in terms of the sum assured which has been taken. Now we need to see the details of the policy. If it is possible to surrender the policy and use that process, so we need to have a cost benefit analysis basically. So if we surrender the policy and use these proceeds to invest somewhere for the financial goals which they have for the family, and the remaining proceeds we can buy a term cover which takes care of the insurance part in that case. So that can be possible. Now, when you buy an insurance policy, generally there is a free look period of 3 years. So if you stop before 3 years, there are a lot of expenses or charges and hardly you get anything. So you need to first do the cost benefit analysis. Try to gauge that if I am stopping the policy and surrendering it, is there a major loss that is happening? And by surrendering it, and if I invest for my some of the goals, can it be recovered and achieve their financial goals or not? And if yes, you can do it. Otherwise, no. Thanks.
You actually touched upon a very important topic because anything you buy, whether it's a mutual fund or insurance especially, it's not very easy to get out.
Yeah.
Because the 5 year the time frame comes and then if it's under heavy losses, so it's never an easy decision.
It's never an easy decision, exactly. So whenever you buy any products, that's where the emotions comes into picture. Generally, the products are bought out of the emotions, out of the relations. Understand the crux of the product which is there. We are living in an information age where the information is available freely through internet. So you search the internet, get the information, ask questions to your advisor that is it the thing which you should do it. And every product you buy should be linked to your financial goals. That is most important, because when you invest 100 rupee also, if it is invested for your or allocated for your financial goals, which means that you have lot of surplus left and the confusion would not be there. आज होता क्या है? A person or a main earning member of the family might have invested in various products. And I think by investing, I think he might have able to achieve his or financial goals also. But at the end of the day, he is still confused whether I have done the right thing or not. He always look for the best next investment opportunity. बैंक मैनेजर ने बोला ये अच्छा है, किसी फ्रेंड ने बोला ये अच्छा है तो ये भी ले लिया, कहीं पर ये भी अच्छा है तो ये भी ले लिया. So are you always in that confused stage? In order to move out of this confused stage, it is important to have that written down financial goals. Allocate all the assets to it based on the time period and see that what is the shortfall and invest accordingly so that you will be more in a clarity in that case. That is important.
Next question. Yeah. Please keep mic.
Talk. I've been reading up on my own. I come from a totally different world of language and literature, and in order to kind of become literate, I've been reading on many sources. So what you said resonated with what I've heard. But आपका जो पहला स्लाइड था कि health and wealth, health के डॉक्टर तो हम ढूंढ लेते हैं लोगों को पूछ के. We look for which is the right doctor. We see who is going to treat us good treatment, who has a good reputation of giving a neutral diagnosis, and who would take us to the hospital. But I have been personally in the past have burnt my fingers and been victim of wrong financial advice. So where do I find a good doctor? That is my question. And I've heard that there is some fee opening financial advisors, and also where do I get the list and all that?
See, there are advisors. Basically, there are registered investment advisors which SEBI has a list on their websites. Apart from RIAs, where the quantity as of today is very less. So it is difficult to service to the mass level with that 100-150 individual advisors in that case. What I have covered in the second slide is the basics which you should look when you are managing money. So whenever you are hiring any financial advisors, find the checklist that how he is going to service you. Where is the remuneration coming for? Is he going to charge you for the advisor or the services? Any financial advice which is free of cost, actually it is not an advice. There is something underlying which is coming in terms of the remuneration from the manufacturers. How he is going to remunerate it, either from your advice, the fee which you are giving, or if not, then what is the process of giving the advice, service, how he is going to service you. If that basic parameters are checked along with the steps which are there to manage money, if he is going to manage money in this way, I think you will get quite good advisors in the market. You can find on Google fee-only financial advisors, fee-based financial advisors, and you can go and search them and have a meeting with them.
Yeah. Okay, one last question. Okay, gentlemen.
Yeah.
So, as you said about the down.
Please wait for the mic.
So, as you said about the term plan, many companies these days they have critical illness riders also benefits along with the term plan. So, do you recommend to take a pure term plan or also critical illness riders along with it?
It depends, my friend. When you take pure, the ideal way is to buy a pure term plan and a standalone critical illness policy. If you are want to get a bundle in that case to manage that cost factor in that case, then it is, I think, you can take both together. What are the advantages and disadvantages? Term plan is a yearly contract. So you have to renew the premium every year so that your policy continues for that period. When you don't pay the policy for that term plan, the plan expires. Critical illness is quite different policy term together. Now, why critical illness is bought first of all? In last 10-15 years, we have seen that the diseases of critical nature like cancer, etc., has been on rising trend. It is important for a family, main earning member of the family, to take a critical illness cover so that when such critical illnesses occur in any family, the long-term finances or investments are not disturbed, and this critical illness plan will help you to pay a lump sum of money to take care of the expenditure, because critical illness diseases take a long gestation period. It may take from 3 months to 2 years also to cure, basically. So the normal medical insurance policy would not help you to take care of the expenditure for that diseases, and that's where the role of critical illness comes into picture. So when you buy, say, a rider in that case, you need to understand the terms and conditions, how many diseases they are covering. Is it only cancer, or there are other diseases which are covered, or how much extra premium they are charging when you take a rider in that case. Well, if there is a minor differences in that case, you should always better to have a separate critical illness policy and a separate term insurance policy. Yeah.
Also, sir, that term plan usually the paying term is usually 10 years and the 40 years. What they usually the companies they have policies accordingly. So, what we should opt for, like always 10-year thing or the 40-year plan, the premium we have to
Now,
pay?
that depends upon your cash flow basically. Now, term cover should be taken till your retirement age or retirement plus 5 or 7 years. Because if you are planning for your retirement and investing for your retirement, you know that at age 55 or at age 60, I would have this much corpus ready with me if everything goes proper. So you can take term insurance till 70. Say if you are right now, say 30, 35. Now, if you are taking a term cover for 35 years, there are options like you pay premium for 10 years and continue the policy for 35 years, or you keep on paying for 35 years. Now, there are two situations in this. Now, when you pay for 10 years only, you are binded by that particular company to stay with them for next 35 years. First point. Secondly, you can always switch your term plan from one company to another depending upon terms and conditions. So, if you have seen in last 10 years, the premiums have gone down drastically in term insurance because of the changes in the mortality table. So, if you would have taken the policy before 10 years and paying higher premium at that point of time, today, by same policy or same sum assured, you might be offered a lower premium in that case. So it depends on which age right now you are standing. So if you are at 35 or 40, by paying next 10 years premium, it would match my cash flows. After that, I don't want to get burden on my cash flows and my policy would get continued for 70 years. That should be fine. But if you are young age, it should be like take on yearly basis, and then afterwards you can take a call to buy a higher policy, higher sum assured, because this term insurance also need to be reviewed every 5 years. Say right now you are single, so you might have taken 50 lakhs. Then you get married, you increase to 1 CR. You have a child, you increase to 1.5 CR. As in when your life changes or the life stage changes, you might have the term insurance accordingly and you can change it. So that's where it comes into picture. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Vivek. Thank you so much for taking your
Thank
time.
you, Prince. Thank you very much.